you hold their hand and you're like, ooh. Ooh. I mean, even men or women, they both feel it. They'll talk about it differently, but you like hear their voice and you're like, oh, the voice of my beloved. Hark, my beloved, like in the song says. That's how you should talk to each other across campus. Hark, my beloved, you come like a doe. Your hair is like sheep. Your face is like olives falling from a tree. And that fades. That fades. Because it fades. But love doesn't fade because fidelity is the central dimension of the Christian sacrament of marriage. I am there for you, and you are there for me. We return to that original communion of friendship, of love, as best as possible as it was intended in the garden. Here's the secret. You know what the best part of marriage is? It isn't sex. Sex gets boring. Sex is boring. There, I said it. I told you the thing that many married people don't tell you. It's not the best part of marriage. You know what the best part of marriage is? That you know that there's a human being who's there for you. Who is going to join in the common project of raising children with you. Who is going, which is, by the way, what sex is for. I think we forget this, that because people, like, you watch sitcoms and nobody ever has children through sex. They're always like, we had sex, that was great. It was transformative. Where are the kids? And even when they have kids, the kids quickly disappear. They put them in some sort of like sitcom childcare. It's raising kids. It's knowing that someone's going to be there to take out the trash on Tuesdays, to cook dinner when you get home, to be there when your father dies, when your mother passes. Who's there? Who's your friend? Not your weird best friend that you share everything with all the time. Right? Like, my wife doesn't give a damn about my job. Like, when she comes home, she's not like, Tim, what are you researching? She's like, I don't care. Have friends, talk to your friends about that. What I care about is, do you want to watch The Crown with me? And I'm like, yeah, I do want to watch The Crown. And I want to Google what's true and what's not. Is like, is Philip really as philandering as he's suspected to be? He's not. He's not. It's an exaggeration. It's the gift of love. But it's not just about fidelity, it's also about a transformation of this love. As human beings, I cannot love unto the end on my own. I'm incapable of loving with perfect self-sacrificial love. As much as I gaze into the eyes of the beloved, sometimes I'm like, okay, what are you going to do for me? Early in dating relationships, we experience this, right? We're like, I love you, I like you, I love you too, okay. Hey, you want to hang out tonight? No, I'm busy. Why are you busy? What are you doing? Well, I don't know, I have a test. Well, am I less important than your test? Yes. Yes, you are. Right now, at least you are. There's a danger of power. Who has the upper hand? Who has control? And what we learn in that most non-beloved of scriptural passages, and this is where I'll conclude tonight, at least with this. In Ephesians, wives, obey your husbands. Husbands, love your wives. Too often we read this as an example of power, and I do too. Like in church when it's read, I like to look over at my wife. Then she carefully looks over at me and reminds me that she can kick me. See, that passage begins with, be imitators of God. Be imitators of God. Ephesians 5:2, be imitators of God. What does it mean to be an imitator of God? Is it about power? Who has the upper hand? Subject one another. Be subject to one another in Christ. Christ, who though he was in the form of God, did not claim equality with God as something to be grasped at, but rather emptied himself, taking the form of a slave, being born in the likeness of men. And he humbled himself, he emptied himself even to the point of death, death on a cross. And at this, God highly exalted him, right? Philippians, to be God is not to seize power, not to grasp it, not to own it, but to love. It's about self-sacrifice. In other words, yeah, men and women have power, right? We don't need, look at the way that college functions now. There is power in this relationship. Hookups are about power and who has the power. Sex is always powerful. It's not benign. That's why the church says that you need to be in a committed relationship to have it. A committed relationship that's called marriage. Not because they're like, we don't want you to have any fun. Because it's about power. And only in this gift of self, I, Tim, take you, Kara, to be my wife. I promise to be faithful to you. In good times and bad, in sickness and in health, I will love you and honor you all the days of my life. Only in this situation, when Kara and I have become to one another an image of Christ in the church, taken up into a divine love that we cannot give one another, does everything get redeemed. Yeah, sex, but more than sex. Sex is part of it. But it's also the redemption of every dimension of our lives. And I'll conclude with this note. Kara and I were unable to have children. And that was what we wanted. And infertility is a really dangerous time in the life of a couple. Because the desire for blame is high. It's your fault. It's your fault. It was neither of our faults medically, but the desire for blame is high. And I was distraught, but of course I was distraught in the way that I tend to get distraught, which is just to be silent and to not share anything with any human being ever. Which is just to stuff it down into that dark Irish Catholic place. It's in the center, oh my God. Stuff it down there. Are you fine? Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. Of course I'm fine. What? Fine. I'm fine. Fine. I mean, I hate God, but I'm fine. Well, other than that, how are you? And so, I was so angry. And we would just go to Mass together as a couple. And of course, going to Mass as a couple when you're infertile is more annoying because there's other children, and it's like, I hate you, kid. I mean, I love you, but I hate you. Because you're a reminder of what I want, so now I'm angry again. And the only thing I could do was look at the cross in a really ugly church. It's a church, I mean, it was better looking than the old St. Paul's, but low bar. Okay, so, and I would look at the crucifix, and slowly, over the time, the fidelity of my wife tenderly caring for one another, us tenderly caring around each other around the topic. I didn't get home and say, so, another miserable day for you too. Want to talk about it? We were tender with one another. We had learned self-sacrificial love, and when my wife said to me, it's time to adopt, I was open. And now we have two beautiful adopted children, Maggie and Tommy, who come to us as gift beyond gift. Dear friends, marriage is salvific of hookup culture because it reveals that the fruitful union of man and woman is not really good, mind-blowing sex or sanctioned sex now, right? Like, that was not sanctioned, now sanctioned. Now it reveals its love unto the end, and we receive a grace for this love. So as you date now, as you figure out what it means to love someone now, dear friends, place at the center this self-sacrificial love of the Word made flesh. Attend to your affections. They may not be true. Emotions can be right and they can be wrong. But what is true is measure it against the love unto the end of the cross. For in marriage, that is what you will be conformed to, the love of the cross. Thanks.